The world's most typical person. On November 15, 2022, the United Nations said that the world's population was now over 8 billion. In 2011, it was 7 billion. In a world of so many people, is there a most typical person? According to statistics, there is. He's a 28-year-old Han Chinese man. He lives in a city, can read and write, and works in a hotel or restaurant. There are 1.01 men in the world for every woman, so the typical person is male. China, with around 1.5 billion people, is the country with the largest population. The largest ethnic group is Han Chinese, and the world's largest age group is 28. More people, 51% of the world's population, live in a city than in the countryside. 82% of the world's population can read and write. The most common job is in services, such as restaurant and hotel work. What does the typical person look like? Look at the two faces on this page. The pictures were made by researchers at the Chinese Academy of Sciences. They used thousands of photos of 28-year-old Han Chinese men and women. They used them to make images of the typical man and woman on Earth today. What will the typical person be like in the future? The world's population is growing and changing all the time. Every second, 5 people are born and 2 people die. In 1800, there were 1 billion people on Earth. By 2050, there may be 10 billion. So the typical person of the future may be very different from today.
A connected world. Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok. Not too long ago, those words didn't exist. Today, social media is a part of many people's everyday lives. In fact, around 4.9 billion people use social media regularly, at least once a day. That's over 60% of the world's population. But how much time do we really spend on social media? And what do we spend that time doing? We use social media a lot. The average person spends 2 hours and 24 minutes on social media each day. People from Nigeria are the most active. They spend almost 4 hours a day on social media. People in Japan, however, only spend 50 minutes a day on social media. What do most people do on social media? Many people use it to get the latest news and to watch videos. We also use it to keep in touch with friends and family. We comment on their posts and text them. People also use social media for work. They talk to customers or find new jobs. Some people use social media to make money. Companies pay them to share photos and videos. Soccer player Cristiano Ronaldo earned over $85 million on Instagram in 2021. In 2023, the most popular social media platform was Facebook. It had almost 3 billion users. In second place was video sharing site YouTube. Instagram and WhatsApp were third. They had 2 billion users each. China's WeChat was close behind. It had over 1.3 billion users, many more than Telegram and Snapchat. Social media is growing and probably won't stop anytime soon. The internet is becoming available to even more people around the world. In just a few years, there could be more than 6 billion people on social media.
Reaching for the Sky. In 2007, Barrington Irving became the youngest person to fly solo around the world. He was 23 years old, and he built the plane himself. How did he do it? A love of flying. Irving first thought about flying when he was 15. He was working in his parents' store in Miami, Florida, USA. One customer was a pilot, Gary Robinson. One day, Robinson asked Irving if he was interested in flying. Irving didn't think he was smart enough. But the next day, Robinson took Irving to an airport. He showed Irving the cockpit of a Boeing 777. That experience changed Irving's life. Irving really wanted to fly, but flight school was expensive. He needed money, so he worked different jobs. He washed planes and cleaned swimming pools. At home, he practiced flying on a video game. In the end, he earned enough money for flight school. Going around the world. At flight school, Irving achieved his dream. He learned how to fly. But he wasn't finished. Next, he planned to build his own plane and fly solo around the world. Building the plane was difficult. Irving asked more than 50 companies for plane parts. Most said no, but he kept asking. 3 years later, he had $300,000 worth of plane parts. He built a plane using the parts. Soon, his plane was ready to fly. On March 23, 2007, Irving began his round-the-world trip. After 97 days, he flew back to Miami. A large crowd of people was there to welcome him. Sharing his dream. Irving saw many young people in the crowd, and this had a big effect on him. He wanted to use his experience to help other young people achieve their own dreams. Today, Irving runs an organization called Experience Aviation. It uses planes and flying to teach students skills in science and technology. The organization helps young people get their dream jobs. Everyone told me what I couldn't do, says Irving. They said I was too young, that I didn't have enough money. But even if no one believes in your dream, he says, you have to pursue it.
Life in the Ring. As a child, Emily Ainsworth loved the colorful world of circuses. She was also interested in other cultures and really wanted to travel. So, she did a lot of different jobs to earn money. I saved for years so that I could afford to travel abroad, she says. When she was 16, she had enough money to go to Mexico. The experience changed her life. She fell in love with the country and wanted to return one day. 6 years later, Ainsworth got her chance. She entered a radio competition to think of an interesting travel idea. The winner would travel to that country and make a documentary. Ainsworth's idea was to go to Mexico to learn about the lives of circus workers. To her surprise, she won the competition. Soon after arriving in Mexico, Ainsworth met ringmaster Don Humberto. He asked her to visit his circus called Circo Padilla. On her first day, one of the dancers could not do the show. Humberto asked Ainsworth if she wanted to be a dancer. 5 minutes later, Ainsworth was wearing dancer's clothes. It was, she says, a childhood dream come true. As a circus dancer, Ainsworth and the other circus workers performed and lived together. Ainsworth also learned about the circus and took photos of circus life. The days were quiet, but at night the circus world came alive. Ainsworth now has a career as a photographer and travels around the world to take photos of different cultures. Her advice to people is to follow their childhood dreams. When you're 8 years old, she says, you know that anything is possible.
Adventures Anywhere. British adventurer Alastair Humphreys has had a lot of adventures. He rode his bike around the world, walked across India, and rode from Africa to South America. In 2011, however, Humphreys had some of the biggest adventures of his life, and he never even left the United Kingdom. For a year, Humphreys went on micro-adventures, small, low-cost trips close to home. Why did he do this? I began to think that it was possible to have an adventure anywhere, he explains. For his first trip, he hiked with a friend. They hiked around the M25, a 188-kilometer, 118-mile road that goes around London. He also swam in the River Thames, slept on top of a hill, and went on a biking trip. Humphreys learned something important from his micro-adventures. We find adventure when we try something new. He saw that, in life, it doesn't matter what you do, just that you do something. Humphreys wanted other people to make this discovery, so he shared his idea on social media. He challenged people to go on micro-adventures and send him 4-minute videos of their trips. For example, he asked them to climb a hill or go away for a weekend. Once, he told people to choose a random place on a map and go there. People from all over the world accepted his challenge and posted their videos on Twitter. For Humphreys, micro-adventures are simple and fun. He says, "Life is now or never. Fill it with adventure." Try a micro-adventure today. Here are 6 ideas for a micro-adventure. Why not try one? Climb a hill that you can see from your city. Sleep in your backyard for a night. Go on a trip to an island. Choose a river and travel to where it starts. Travel to the beach and sleep there for a night. Take a friend on their first micro-adventure.
One woman, 195 countries. It all began in Bali. Jessica Nabongo was on a 2-week vacation there in 2017, feeling unhappy in her job. Then she read an article about another traveler who visited every country in the world. Nabongo wanted to be the first Black woman to do this. On October 6, 2019, Nabongo landed in the Seychelles, her 195th country, completing her goal. Along the way, she became a writer and photographer. Here she answers questions about her travels. What inspires your adventures?
Curiosity. I want to see how people live everywhere in the world.
Do you have any travel heroes?
Barbara Hillary. She was the first Black woman to visit the North and South Poles, and she did it aged 75 and 79. Isn't that amazing? The other is Corey Lee. He's in a wheelchair and has visited 37 countries. I love that he doesn't let being in a wheelchair stop him from exploring the world.
What is something you always take with you when you travel?
I like small, lightweight cameras. I also travel with my drone.
Did you ever have any failures?
I don't believe in failure. I believe that every failure in your life is an opportunity to learn.
What's the best advice you've received?
My mother has always said, be humble. When you are humble, you know that everyone is equal. You can connect with all types of people, from a man sitting on the floor at the market to a manager at a big hotel. you can see people exactly as they are. Human beings. Being humble is so important.
Do you have any advice for someone thinking of traveling the world?
Travel without fear. I've learned in my travels that most people are good. Because of that, there's no reason to fear strangers. Most people really want to help you. A lot of the time, people are really happy that you're in their country.
Sharing photos. From the beginning, taking pictures was more than just a hobby for Chris Burkard. Even though he only started taking photos when he was 19, his amazing photos of surfers quickly became popular. Then, in 2013, his career really took off. While on a photography trip in Iceland, a surfer showed Burkard an app called Instagram. Burkard joined and started posting pictures. A lot of people liked Burkard's Instagram page. By 2016, he had around 2 million followers. Now, he has twice as many followers. Burkard's followers love his photos of interesting places around the world. Many people want to travel after seeing his photographs. In fact, Burkard was named a top 10 travel influencer in 2017. Because of Burkard's success on Instagram, companies ask him to take photographs for their businesses. He travels and takes photographs for magazines and books. He also gives presentations and talks about his work. More and more people are using photo-sharing apps. Apps and sites such as Instagram, Imgur, and Flickr help photographers connect with large numbers of people. So, how can you make a popular photo-sharing account like Chris Burkard's? Here's some advice. 1. Share posts on other social media sites, such as Facebook or Pinterest. When people see your posts, they might click on them. 2. Choose hashtags carefully. Find out which ones are popular. For example, many people use #beach. There are about 300 million Instagram photos with that hashtag. So, if you use it, people who like these 300 million photos might find you. 3. Contact other people. Follow them and say nice things about their posts. When you do this, they might follow you too. 4. Make your followers feel like they are part of a community. For example, answer their questions and share information about yourself. 5. Work with businesses such as food companies. When you post a photo with a product, use the company's name in your post. People who follow that company might see your post and follow you. The business might also want to work with you.
Is it real? Look at the two photos on this page. One is real, but the other is fake. Can you guess which is which? A few years ago, a dramatic photo went viral on Twitter. It showed a great white shark jumping out of the water. The person who posted the photo called himself Bob Burton. He said he was a National Geographic photographer and that the picture was National Geographic's photo of the year. Thousands of people liked the tweet and congratulated Burton. It didn't take long, however, for people to realize that the photo was fake. There is no photographer called Bob Burton at National Geographic. There wasn't a National Geographic Prize for Photo of the Year at that time. And the photo was made on a computer by joining together several other photos. So, how can you not get fooled by a fake photo? There are several ways you can tell if a photo is fake. First, look for a source, where the photo comes from. Is there a photographer's name? Can you find any information about them on the internet? Second, look for details that make the picture look strange. For example, maybe there are no shadows, or maybe the shadows are in the wrong places. Perhaps something in the photo looks too big or too small. Perhaps there is something missing, such as a building or a person. So, which of the photos on page 71 is fake? The fake photo is the one at the top of the page. When you look carefully at it, you can see that something is not quite right. The sea looks too small and the shark too big. The water around the shark looks strange and the sky is too blue. The photo below it, however, is real. This amazing photo was taken by Chris Fallows. Fallows has spent much of his career taking photos of sharks. For this photo, he waited in his boat all day to get the photo he wanted. We see more photos today than ever before, but don't believe everything you see.
Living on the edge. Some people ski down mountains. Others climb huge rocks or take photos of dangerous animals. Why do people enjoy risky activities like these? Thrill seekers. Some people take risks simply because it makes them feel good. Psychologist Marvin Zuckerman says that these people, thrill seekers, are always looking for excitement. When people do something new or risky, a chemical in the brain gives them a pleasant feeling. Thrill seekers love this feeling and want to have it as often as possible. Goal-driven risk-takers. Other people don't take risks for the thrill, but to achieve a goal. For example, conservationist Mike Fay went on a dangerous 3,000-kilometer expedition in Africa. He went to areas that no one had been to before because he wanted to save the wildlife there. Fay said the expedition was risky. You could walk away, he said, but then you'd know nothing about elephants. Fay's trip helped create 13 new national parks. Professional risk-takers. For other people, such as extreme athletes, taking risks is part of their job. Sports psychologist Shane Murphy says extreme athletes see the world differently. In a dangerous activity such as skydiving, most people probably do not feel in control. Extreme athletes are different. They feel in control in dangerous situations. The danger can even help them. For example, skier Darren Rolfs says that being afraid makes him try harder to succeed. Everyday risk-takers. Most of us are not extreme sport athletes or explorers. However, we still take risks in our lives. Some of us take social risks. For example, we speak in front of a large group of people or talk to people we don't know at a party. Sometimes we take financial risks, such as buying a house. And sometimes we take career risks, such as leaving a job or starting a business. Most people take risks in some areas of life, but not in others. What kind of risk-taker are you?
Risky jobs. For some people, taking risks is part of their jobs. Here are two examples. Professional rock climber. Alex Honnold is a professional rock climber. Rock climbers are strong, but they usually need ropes or someone to help them. But not Honnold. Honnold free solos. Free soloing means climbing a rock alone and without ropes. In fact, Honnold is one of the best free solo climbers in the world. Honnold dreamed of being the first person to free solo El Capitan in Yosemite National Park, USA. El Capitan is a 1-kilometer high rock. It looks like a very big wall. It's like walking up glass, Honnold said. In November 2016, Honnold started climbing El Capitan. Honnold gripped the rock with his fingers, but he stopped because he wasn't ready. 7 months later, Honnold tried again. This time, he did it. He climbed to the top of El Capitan. His dream came true. Today, Honnold still free solos, but on less difficult rocks. He is so good at free soloing that he doesn't think that it is risky. Climbing these rocks, he says, is just like going for a jog. Underwater photographer. Brian Scarry is an underwater photojournalist. As part of his job, Scarry goes diving with different sea animals. To get the best photos of these animals, Scarry takes a lot of time to get close, even though some people think it's risky. While diving in New Zealand, Scarry suddenly saw a right whale swimming beside him. It was the size of a bus. Nobody is going to believe this, thought Scarry. I've got to get this picture. He swam fast, so he didn't lose the whale, but he quickly became tired and had to stop. Surprisingly, the whale also stopped. It waited for Scarry and then began to follow him. It was like swimming around with a friend, Scarry says. Why does Scarry take these risks? He hopes his photographs will make people think about life in the world's oceans. The oceans are in real trouble from many environmental threats, he says. As a journalist, the most important thing I can do is to bring awareness.
Sea turtles feel the heat. Sea turtles are some of the oldest species in the world. The first sea turtles lived over 200 million years ago. Today, however, sea turtles are in danger. Their numbers are falling because of human activities and climate change. Around the world, conservationists are looking at the effects of climate change on sea turtles. They believe it hurts them in 2 ways. First, sea levels are rising because of higher temperatures. As this happens, beach areas become flooded. Sea turtles lay their eggs in the sand, so flooding can destroy sea turtle nests and the eggs inside them. Climate change has another effect on the turtles' eggs. In cooler temperatures, more male turtles are born. So, as the world becomes warmer, more female turtles are born than males. Scientists think that in the future there may be no males at all. However, there are people who are trying to help. Conservationists, such as Mariana Fuentes, study the turtles and work hard to keep them safe. To give marine turtles a better chance, she says, we have to protect their nesting sites. There are now projects in place at many turtle nesting sites around the world. These projects help to protect the turtle eggs from other animals and from humans. Sometimes eggs are also moved to cooler, safer areas. There are some success stories, too. In the early 1990s, there were fewer than 5,000 green sea turtle nests in Florida. Because of conservation work, this number was up to just under 30,000 by 2015. But the turtles still have a lot of challenges, and Fuentes believes that they still need our help. Turtles were here long before humans, she says. It would be a complete tragedy if they were to become extinct as a result of our actions. Sea turtles in danger. There are 7 species of sea turtles in the world. Below are 4 that are in danger. Vulnerable. Olive Ridley turtle. Habitat: tropical waters. Size, up to 75 centimeters, 30 inches. Lifespan, up to 50 years. Population, about 800,000 females. Vulnerable. Leatherback turtle. Habitat, oceans. Size, up to 2 meters, 6 feet. Lifespan, up to 45 years. Population, 20,000 to 30,000 females. Endangered. Green turtle. Habitat, oceans. Size, up to 1.5 meters, 5 feet. Lifespan, up to 80 years. Population, about 90,000 females. Critically endangered. Hawksbill turtle. Habitat, tropical waters. Size, up to 1 meter, 3 feet. Lifespan, 50 to 60 years. Population, less than 25,000 females.
Animals in the frame. Photographer Joel Sartori uses his camera to bring attention to endangered animals. His project is called Photo Arc. The goal of the project is to take photographs of as many animals as possible before some of them disappear. Sartori wants to inspire people to save these animals. As he says, for many of Earth's creatures, time is running out. How did you become interested in saving endangered animals?
When I was a child, I read about Martha, the very last passenger pigeon. Martha died in 1914. I was shocked. In the past, there were 5 billion passenger pigeons, probably more than any other bird. But here was the last one, and there was no way to save it. How did we let this happen? I couldn't understand it. I still feel the same way. I want to stop this from ever happening again.
How does photography help to save endangered animals?
Photography is the best way to show problems to the world. It gets people to care about the problems. It's not enough to just show pretty animals in beautiful places. Now we must show the dangers to these animals as well. The good news is there are many ways to publish stories and photographs on environmental issues. Even non-professional photographers can help to let people know about these problems.
Here, Sartori talks about 3 endangered animals he has photographed for the Photo Arc. Malayan tiger, Omaha Zoo, USA. Malayan tigers are critically endangered. The latest data show that there are less than 4,000 of them in the wild. We tried photographing him on a big black background, Sartori says, but he just destroyed it. He really enjoyed it, too. Fortunately for Sartori, the tiger didn't have a problem with white paper. Spoon-billed sandpiper, Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust, UK. In 2022, Sartori photographed his 13,000th species, the spoon-billed sandpiper. Spoonie is tiny, the size of a mouse, and critically endangered. I hope people see into the eyes of this bird, says Sartori, and take action to help save our planet's unique species before it's too late. Chimpanzee, Lowry Park Zoo, USA. This 3-month-old baby chimpanzee is called Reuben. Reuben's mother left him, says Sartori, so people at the zoo are raising him. While Sartori took the photo, zookeepers gently held Reuben. Baby primates are much like human children, says Sartori. They need a mother to hold on to, even if it's human.
Rock buildings.
Most large buildings today, such as schools or apartments, are made from steel and concrete. In the past, though, some people made buildings from large pieces of rock. Because they are made of rock, these buildings are still here for us to see. They connect us with history and show us how people lived in the past. Here are 3 examples. The tombs of Madain Saleh. The ancient city of Madain Saleh is in the Arabian desert. It is famous for its tombs. There are over 130, and some are very big. The tallest is 16 meters, 52 feet high. A group of people called the Nabateans built them around 2,000 years ago. They made the tombs by cutting into large rocks that lay on the desert floor. The Kailasa Temple. The Kailasa Temple in India was built in the 8th century. It is cut from one massive piece of rock. In fact, at 33 meters, 108 feet high, the Kailasa Temple is the world's largest building made from one rock. King Krishna I started building the temple, but he probably didn't live to see it finished. It took many years to build. Builders made the temple in an unusual way. They started at the top of the rock, then cut down. Underground Rock City. In 1963, a homeowner in the Cappadocia area of Turkey discovered an abandoned city under his house. Because the rock in the area is quite soft, people built houses in and under the ground. The underground city has streets, stores, and even schools. There is also a large church about the size of a tennis court and around 4 meters, 13 feet high. The church was probably built over 1,000 years ago.
The first road. There's a saying, all roads lead to Rome. Today, it means that all ways of doing something will give you the same result. But in the ancient past, it was a fact. The Romans built some of the world's first roads. Each road began in Rome and then went to some part of the Roman Empire. The most famous is the Appian Way. Romans started building the Appian Way in 312 BC. When they finished, it was almost 580 kilometers, 360 miles long. The road goes from Rome to the city of Brindisi in the south of Italy. Like all Roman roads, it is very straight. In fact, one piece of the road is straight for 90 kilometers, 56 miles. Parts of the road go over mountains and across rivers. The Appian Way was important for the Romans. It was built so that soldiers could move around the country. Later, the roads helped the Roman Empire spread from Western Europe to the Middle East and even parts of North Africa. But soldiers were not the only ones to use the roads. They allowed goods to travel easily across the empire as well. Building the Appian Way was a massive job. First, workers put down sand and small stones. Then they cut large, heavy stones into different shapes and carefully put them next to each other. The stones fitted together so well that they often looked like one smooth piece of rock. The road was also very strong. Even about 900 years after it was built, it was described as looking perfect. Today, much of the Appian Way is buried under farms and highways. However, thanks to the Romans' amazing work, many kilometers of Roman roads still exist. You can still walk along some of them and feel history under your feet.
Other Earths. Look up at the sky on a dark, moonless night. There are many thousands of stars. But are there other planets like Earth? And could humans live on them one day? New technology is helping astronomers discover hundreds of new planets. We now know of more than 5,200 exoplanets, planets that orbit stars other than our Sun. Some exoplanets may be similar to Earth. An Earth-like exoplanet must have similar features to Earth. It needs to be the right distance from its star. It will then have a suitable temperature for life, not too cold and not too hot. A planet at the right distance from its star might also have water. Where there's water, there might be life. Earth-like exoplanets could be more common than once thought. In 2016, scientists were excited to find 7 Earth-like exoplanets 39 light-years from Earth. The exoplanets orbit a single star called TRAPPIST-1. Each planet is a similar size to Earth, and each may have water. Although the 7 planets are all very close to the star, TRAPPIST-1 is much cooler than our Sun. Temperatures could therefore be suitable for life. Could humans live on an Earth-like planet one day? The biggest problem is distance. Our nearest star system, Alpha Centauri, is 4.3 light-years from Earth. In 2016, scientists found an Earth-like exoplanet in this system. However, traveling there with today's technology would take thousands of years. With future technology, however, this may change. Scientist Andreas Siolas believes that one day we will travel to Alpha Centauri. He thinks that new technology will let us reach it in trips that take a few decades. I believe we can achieve interstellar exploration within 100 years, he says.
Finding Tatooine. Star Wars, a series of movies about a galaxy far, far away, begins on the planet Tatooine. Luke Skywalker, who lives there, looks at a beautiful double sunset. But does a planet with 2 suns really exist? Pairs of suns, like Tatooine's, make up about half of all the stars that we can see from Earth. But scientists could not find a planet orbiting 2 suns, a circumbinary planet, for a long time. In fact, they were not certain if a planet with 2 suns could even exist. Inspired by Star Wars, scientists Matthew Muterspaugh and Maciej Konachki held the biggest ever hunt for circumbinary planets. They called the project Tatooine. They used telescopes to look at light from stars. When a planet moves in front of a star, there is less light. Muterspaugh and Konachki used the changes in light to find planets. Unfortunately, they didn't find a real Tatooine for several years. However, Konachki did not let that stop him. He continued searching for a real Tatooine, this time using a new group of telescopes called Solaris. He believed that the universe has many planets like the ones in Star Wars. He says, "There are things in the universe that are more surprising than what filmmakers can come up with." Today, astronomers around the world have found several circumbinary planets, including Kepler-16b. In fact, they have even found a planet that orbits 4 suns. Inspired by Star Wars. Star Wars has encouraged many children to take up science. Some of those children, now adult scientists, are using the ideas from the movies in their work. Here are 2 examples. Creating robotic hands. Enzo Romero was born without a right hand. He watched Star Wars when he was 7 and was amazed when Luke Skywalker got a robotic hand. He wanted one too. Now his company, Lat Bionics, makes prosthetic hands using a 3D printer. Inventing personal robots. As a child, Cynthia Brazil watched Star Wars and loved the robots R2-D2 and C-3PO. She knew robots like these didn't exist, but she wanted to build one. In 2017, she built a personal assistant robot called Jibo. Jibo can talk, listen, and turn its head.